Imagine a man, soft-spoken and unassuming, whose power was as silent as his demeanor. Yet he ruled one of the most feared crime empires in America for decades. This man operated in the shadows, evading law enforcement and controlling New York City's underworld from behind the scenes. His name was Carlo Gambino, the boss of all bosses. Early life and background. Carlo Gambino was born on August 24, 1902, in Palermo, Sicily. The Gambino family was part of the honored Sicilian Mafia, a society rooted in respect, loyalty, and of course, power. Growing up in such an environment, young Carlo learned early on the unspoken rules of survival and respect. Life in Sicily during the early 1900s was hard, and for families like Carlo's, the Mafia offered a way out. By age 19, Carlo was already deeply involved in criminal activities, aligning himself with the respected D'Aquila family. But he had bigger dreams, dreams that stretched far beyond the shores of Sicily. Arrival in America and rise in the mob world. In 1921, at the age of 19, Carlo Gambino arrived in America, seeking a new life. He stepped onto New York soil with ambitions as vast as the city skyline. But for Gambino, New York wasn't a city of dreams, it was a city of opportunity for crime. He immediately fell into a growing mafia network, immersing himself in a world where loyalty to family was everything. Gambino started small, handling bootlegging operations during Prohibition. But he was smart, always one step ahead. He avoided flashy moves, preferring to blend in, earning his nickname, the Quiet Don. Through his connections with powerful figures like Charles, Lucky, Luciano and Vito Genovese, Gambino rose quickly. Prohibition was a goldmine for him, allowing him to build wealth and respect within the mob. He used the money to strengthen his influence and expand his operations. By the 1930s, Gambino was firmly established in New York's underworld. The Castellamarese War and establishment of the Commission. The 1930s were a turbulent time for organized crime in New York. The infamous Castellamarese War had split the Mafia into two warring factions, led by Joe the Boss Masuria and Salvatore Maranzano. Gambino, staying loyal to his allies, sided with Maranzano, who eventually won the war. But Gambino was a strategist. He knew the violence had to end for the Mafia to thrive. With Maranzano's victory came a new era, one that Gambino helped shape. The Commission was born, a ruling council designed to manage disputes between families and prevent deadly wars. Gambino was an active player behind the scenes, building alliances and securing his family's future. This commission gave Gambino the platform he needed. It was here that he established relationships with other powerful families, making strategic alliances that would keep his own family secure for decades. Leadership and control. By the 1950s, Carlo Gambino was already a force to be reckoned with. He was quiet, calculated, and ruthlessly efficient. When Albert Anastasia, the head of the family, was assassinated in 1957, Gambino seized the opportunity. Many believe Gambino orchestrated the assassination, though no evidence ever surfaced. After Anastasia's death, Gambino became the head of his family. This was his moment, the culmination of years of silent strategy and carefully woven alliances. Under his leadership, the Gambino family grew to be the most powerful mafia family in America. Gambino's power was unmatched. He controlled the docks, trucking companies, and even labor unions, ensuring a steady flow of money and influence. His reach extended beyond New York, with ties to other mob families across the country. The traits of the Quiet Don. Carlo Gambino was no ordinary boss. He rarely attracted attention to himself. Unlike other mobsters, Gambino kept a low profile, preferring to rule from the shadows. His careful, calculating approach earned him a reputation as the Quiet Don. He avoided the limelight and was rarely seen in public, keeping law enforcement at bay. While other bosses flashed wealth and courted fame, Gambino knew the power of invisibility. He lived in a modest house and dressed conservatively. This restraint was a key to his long reign. Gambino's motto seemed simple: stay quiet, stay safe. Gambino's rule over New York's underworld. As the boss, Gambino focused on maintaining peace between the families. He knew that cooperation was more profitable than conflict. To him, violence was a last resort. He was more interested in the steady flow of money, from racketeering, loan sharking, and extortion, than in bloody power struggles. But make no mistake, Gambino was not afraid to use force if necessary. When he sensed a threat, he moved swiftly and decisively. One infamous story involves a would-be traitor in his ranks. Instead of dealing with the man personally, Gambino arranged for the problem to disappear. His message was clear: loyalty above all. Family life and personal traits. Despite his criminal empire, Gambino valued family above all. He was a devoted husband and father, maintaining a stable family life. Friends described him as courteous and polite, a stark contrast to his ruthless side in the business world. His ability to balance a warm family life with his cold criminal dealings added to the mystique surrounding him. Gambino's family respected him deeply, but they also feared him. He commanded respect without ever raising his voice, a testament to his charisma and silent power. Even within his family, he followed the Mafia's code of honor, instilling these values in his children and closest associates. The Mafia's downfall and Gambino's legacy. As Gambino aged, cracks began to show in the Mafia's world. By the 1970s, law enforcement had shifted its focus to organized crime. RICO laws were introduced, targeting the Mafia's structure and operations. The pressure was mounting, but Gambino remained one step ahead, passing on his legacy. Before his death in 1976, Gambino chose his successor with care, his brother-in-law Paul Castellano. Gambino hoped Castellano would uphold the family's power and avoid violence. Unfortunately, Castellano's rule was marked by turmoil, ultimately leading to his assassination by John Gotti. Gambino's empire didn't survive the turbulent years that followed. Yet, his legacy as the boss of all bosses endures. Gambino showed the world that power could come quietly, without the need for fame or bloodshed. The legacy of Carlo Gambino. Carlo Gambino's life was a tale of quiet power, careful moves, and disciplined control. He ruled the Mafia for decades, outliving his rivals and evading law enforcement. Even today, Gambino is remembered as one of the most cunning mob bosses of all time. So, what can we learn from Carlo Gambino's life? Perhaps that true power is not in being the loudest but in being the smartest. Gambino's story reminds us of the strength of silent influence and the lasting impact of a carefully built legacy. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into the life of Carlo Gambino, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Share your thoughts on this enigmatic mob boss and let us know what other figures you'd like us to cover next. Until next time, keep exploring the hidden stories of history.